Hello, welcome to Game On, your rapid-fire hot take podcast brought to you by the Daily Record. I'm Michael Gannon, and in a week when we had the January transfer window slamming shut, there's been big deadline day business at the Record. We've shipped out Gavin Berry for a loan spell down some lower league podcast to kind of toughen himself up, and we've drafted in star striker Graeme Young to join us in this week's podcast. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, very good. I noticed my Graeme On suggestion, didn't
Graeme On?
Yeah, well, just for this week only.
Well, there's a yellow card right away. For those of you who don't know the format, we're going to be tackling all the big issues of the day in Scottish sport and beyond, and the trick is we need to get to the point very quickly because we're up against the whistle. So we'll not muck about, we'll get straight into the meat and drink, Graeme. And listen, first up, transfer window. Brendan Rodgers, was he let down by the Celtic board and recruitment department?
Yes, and I think the reason why was Daizen Maeda. You could sum it up in Daizen Maeda's goal the other night, the wonderful team goal. You think this is the level that Brendan Rodgers has Celtic operating at. I think every possible avenue to make Celtic better should be explored. The level, I think Rodgers' first team was something special. Obviously, it was a great time with Ange Postecoglou, but there just seems Rodgers is operating at his best right now. And I think if there was any possible way to make this team better, in that window there would have been advantageous. And I know that, like, we've spoke for years about how January transfers can be
Tough window.
Very
window.
tough.
I would say
They call it a sickly shade of half, isn't it, that one? But it is. So the quality's not that you don't, but it just feels like a team. I'm not the Bayern Munich, maybe get on to that later. It's a huge tie, but just it feels Rodgers he's got a competence level that it's built up over the years, and I think we're seeing the kind of who he is in the two spells. I think this is the best he's ever been.
I take that, but what would be the point in going and panic buying and spending 10 million quid on someone that didn't particularly wasn't high on the list? The league is, let's be honest, 13 points clear with 13 games to go. The league is done and dusted. Scottish Cup still there to be competed for. Europe, I mean, Celtic getting to the knockout stages was the main goal. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think I've seen somebody saying that they could sign Kylian Mbappe and get battered by Bayern Munich. So I get asking, should they have that striker in the door? Of course they should have had that striker in the door. I don't think Kyle should have been sold unless the next guy was lined up to come straight in. But once that kind of falls down, then I don't think there's any point in panic buying and spending money they don't need to spend. They have got plenty of money right enough, so it's a bit strange. What the big thing is, Celtic need to look at their transfer strategy in general. They do tend to take their time. Things move too slowly. They have to be more nimble. This has been 3 or 4 windows now when they've been left late to go and do their shopping, and this time there came a cropper. So they need to sort that out for the next window. Anyway, still on Celtic. We'll stick to Celtic for the next one. Not talking about signings coming in, but the ones that are already there. Player of the year time is always earlier every year in terms of voting. At the moment, it looks like a 2-horse race. Celtic. Nicolas Kuhn looked to have wrapped up, but is Daizen Maeda, in typical Daizen Maeda fashion, making a bursting run into the running for the Player of the Year?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Maeda, it's just like a crest of a wave at present, but I would still go for Nicolas Kuhn. His level, the one when I hear it a lot, the big one is, he couldn't do anything last year. I thought he had a couple of really good games in April, and then there was a wee injury and off again, but this year's been phenomenal.
He's famous
exactly.
Dental problems.
Exactly. It's a good one to use in our line of work as well. You could keep some £1 million wingers down, so it'd keep us out as well. So I feel we can. One of these goals, these sidewinding runs where he cuts through 8 players, it's got to go in, and that might seal it for him. But his overall play, and I think he is big in the games ahead as well. Just that level of play. I think he's just been off the boil ever so slightly, and he's got that to come back. That's the beauty of Celtic. They've always got players. They just kind of come up and down in levels. Like Engels right now is back playing at a brilliant level. Jota started fast, but I feel Kuhn in this final stretch will be huge. Maeda's been phenomenal, but I would still...
Daizen Maeda is the Player of the Year.
Okay.
He is the Player of the Year. I mean, he scored 18 goals from the wing, another 8 or 9 assists.
Yeah.
I tell you what, the judge of it is Celtic are going into the Bayern Munich game, which we'll touch on later on, and if there's a choice between who would be the biggest miss, Kuhn or Maeda, who's the biggest miss?
I think Maeda for all he brings.
So Maeda's a bigger miss. You agree with me?
No, Kuhn's got a level of quality that is a shimmy and a shake.
If he could swap
I think Maeda brings everything else. We've been able to see that at this level.
So Maeda's banned though. If you could swap that suspension for Kuhn, would you do it and have Maeda on the team rather than Kuhn for that game?
Potentially.
So therefore he's the player of the year. I mean, look at his goal against Dundee the other night.
Stunning.
I mean, that's just. I mean,
turning into Henrik.
Well, Brendan not just made a joke about Mallow saying it's a Henrik Larsson-esque header he scored, but that was a Henrik Larsson-esque trip, wasn't it?
It certainly was.
But yeah, so I'm glad that you agree with me that Maeda's going to be the player of the year at Celtic. We'll cross the city. Okay. We'll touch on the transfer window. Celtic got a lot of criticism for their transfer window, but all quiet at Rangers. Does the fact that the business is so quiet suggest that the white flag's been rolled up for the title challenge?
Potentially, but I also feel the good grace that maybe I think being a Rangers transfer guru in the last 10 years has been it's been a cursed role. I think what Nils Cobham's got in his favour right now is that the type of signings like Hamza Gaman and Siala, the defender as well, you've got players who are what you would call punts or gambles, and they're paying off, guys that fans can see. So our patience has probably been afforded right now on the basis that the type of players that
so the season's been written off, you think then?
No, I don't actually think so. I feel that Rangers are probably in that boat. The argument you maybe made for against Celtic that if the fit's not right, I think Rangers need to be very careful of the fit, because if there's been a myriad of issues at Rangers over this generation.
Yeah.
The biggest one is buying players for the sake of buying players. So if Rangers can't find that real quality, even if it is of that kind of hidden gem market, if they can't find those players, then there's no real point. I think Badrami is a player who is obviously technically good, but he's got a way to go to really prove he can play. But even Hadji, for all his trials and tribulations, he's got a bit of moxie, he's got something about him. He's a more impactful player at present. Actually, for once, I think it's been, and I think in the Rangers sphere in their world, I think among their fans, I think they were okay with how it played out for that reason.
I just think the Rangers are, I mean, listen, I get the point, the league is probably going to be, listen, let's be honest, it's probably done and dusted, but they're still in Europe. I just think that perhaps strengthening, they've had a fraught first half of the season. We know there's problems with the squad, we know there's areas need addressed. I still think that Rangers should be looking to strengthen every window. And this seems like a holding pattern. Listen, they've got a few prospects that are coming through. They'll get a chance, which is fine. But they're still in Europe, and they've shown before they can go on these European runs which are terrific for their fans, which generates a lot of money as well. I just think they're kind of holding pattern just now. But listen, the business, one bit of business they did do in January, which is not for just now, though it's for down the line. Lyle Cameron coming in on a pre-contract for the summer. Has he got what it takes to be a hit at Ibrox? Yes.
Now this is why scouting, no offence to the scouts out there, but I think scouting, he's the type of player that you could go there with your notepad and he's just a brilliant player. And
yeah, he's not hiding under a rock.
No, exactly. That's it. And the thing with Lyle Cameron, it's so good. He always is it maybe about looking at how a player plays for a team that's not got the ball all the time and how they would look in a team that does. And even David Turnbull, I know, probably never quite hit the heights at Celtic. He was a player who's always got to perform to a level in a bigger team, and I think Lyle Cameron can be something that's a player who really makes his mark at Rangers. He's great in that half turn, you would call it, when you're half looking back, he's turning on the ball through passes, very clever, and his movement, he's got a good shot on him. Everything about Lyle Cameron to me is the type of signing that Celtic, Rangers, or Rangers in this case, should be making. It's a no-brainer, obviously.
Yeah.
I think they would have liked him.
Scottish as well, which is
Scottish close massive for the European squad. The squad makeup has changed massively. The homegrown rules, UEFA gets battered all the time, but it's an important rule and you need to adhere to it. And Lyle Cameron's just a quality player. He is that type of player that's an absolute stick on to make the jump. And you say that now, there's obviously the case it might not happen, but this is the type of signing that I think Rangers, if they keep up with the hidden gem model, they're trying to get bargains. I think there's no reason why Lyle Cameron can't really make it. I'm very strong on that. I think he's a top quality player.
I think we need to sack it the Daily Record scouts, because obviously they've got his name spelt wrong in the caption. So I think there are scouts that are going to be getting into trouble.
He's one of those ones.
It's a funny way of spelling it right enough. I agree with you. I think it's a good bit of business for Rangers. I think you look. I don't want to make that. I'm trying not to make the comparison, but you can't really avoid it. Is the impact made by Luke McCowan at Celtic? Yep. He's a bit older. Lyle Cameron's only 22. Yeah. Good potential. McCown went into Celtic, and I think he's looked at every bit for the Celtic player, and I think he can do the same at Rangers. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. Obviously, he's been a guy in demand, Cameron, for a few months now. There's talk about the clubs in Edinburgh after him as well, Hearts and Hibs.
Aberdeen like to look over.
Aberdeen as well. But in terms of Edinburgh, it's a Hearts and Hibs are back in business, aren't they? There's only 3 points between them in the league. Who's going to finish top dog in Edinburgh?
This is a good one.
That's a good one.
I'm impressed.
Alienate half a city here. I like this. Go for it.
Exactly. I'll go with Hearts. So Neil Critchley.
Jambos are nearly getting relegated.
No, they're good. And Elton up front, the Rocket Man. He's the one. He sometimes make a signing that's just quality, isn't he? You just get these. Just a bit of inspiration, and that's obviously bodes well for the Jamestown analytics crew because he comes from that club, Central, and then you're there. But the big selling point for Hearts is Neil Critchley. During that bad run, you quite clearly see everyone that speaks about him. He's like an elite coach, like the best. If you're doing A-license, all that stuff, this guy is but is he a manager? But what he did do, maybe his amiable kind of nature paid off for him. Never really lost his cool. Didn't throw players under the bus, kept on it, and now Hearts with good players, good coaching are really starting to reap the rewards. He's a really likeable guy. I thought they set up that night against Celtic at home really well, and I know Celtic ended up running away, but you could just tell this guy, he's a manager for all seasons, can line up a certain way when it suits him. He's not so set in his methods, and now he's just with good players playing every week, he's able to win games. I think it's impressive. Hibs also their merits, but I think Hearts will see it by maybe 6 points. As
Hearts are back in the mix again, they have. I mean, I think in recent weeks they have showed signs. I think Jamie McCart is also a good sign as well. But Hibs, they've got momentum. Listen, fair play to David Gray. I mean, he was on the brink a good few times. I mean, it's that horrible point after some of the games when you're asking the managers, is this it? Are you on the brink here? Are you on the edge? He's come back from that. What is it? 1 defeat in 12, unbeaten in 10, 11. They're banging form. They're playing really well. Also, they're not just... There's
a solidity about them, isn't there? It's not just Hibs, is it?
I saw Hibs at the start of the season and I was sitting there and I thought, this lot are relegation material. They were so bad at the back. They were. I mean, it was like this Hibs team could be one of the ones that are in the thick of it. But now I think they'll beat Hearts and they'll finish above them in the league and they'll get into Europe.
Vice versa. Hearts will
they beat me with the whistle. Beat me with the whistle. Well, we'll stay in it. We'll stay in Edinburgh. We'll switch sports. Six Nations action again this weekend. Scotland go off to a flyer against Italy. We'll get back-to-back home games, which is a rare in this environment. They've got Ireland this weekend. Can Scotland get the better of the Irish and keep this Six Nations dream alive?
Hopefully. This has been the issue of the last few Six Nations campaign. These impressive results, sometimes back-to-back wins, but not being able to ever punch it home. Ireland are a phenomenal side. I think everyone felt Andy Farrell was a brilliant coach as well, but just in those autumn tests, it just didn't look the same team as at the World Cup. But the team at the World Cup also had its own issues by not being able to win a World Cup, and most people felt they were the best team there. So I think now with Scotland, the great thing I'd say under Gregor Townsend, without a doubt, has always been, and the team he played in was the same. They're a fun team to watch. The tries, there's a lot of excitement.
Exciting, aren't they?
Exactly, and that's at the end of the day all a rugby fan can ask for. Because some games can be a tough watch at times, even at international level. But I feel they have enough about in Scotland at home to give themselves an opportunity. If it's 65 minutes heading into the final stretch and they're in the game, I think they've got enough bite about them now to go and get the try and go and win the game and maybe play situational rugby a bit better.
And they've got a few injuries in their forward line as well. I mean, I know that's an area that slightly worries me with Scotland and the kind of scrum and all that stuff. And
performances have gone up with that, but
can we get exciting backs and all that stuff? But we're
push back a bit easy sometimes.
It's wee bit. That's the kind of and it's like that kind of strength and depth. You talk about getting 65 minutes. We start to get through the squad. We tend to kind of struggle a wee bit. 10 defeats in the bounce to Ireland.
I know that has been the one. Other records have been correct, obviously New Zealand and so forth. But this is the time now. This is it. You've got to do it now. This is your opportunity.
And this is the acid test. I mean, really, you get the two home games to start the campaign. Listen, I know we've been a bit unlucky with injuries, and that's not helped us. But there's enough in that game against Italy to suggest that this is a good side.
It's a good Italy team as well. Italy favourites to beat Wales. There's
a few wee bits that were a wee bit ragged that kind of concern me. But they need to step up, and this is the big one for them. Take advantage of being at home and send the Irish away with a rare Scottish win. And the Six Nations dream will be alive. On a flip side, a slightly different kind of matter, talking about must wins and acid tests. Well, Aberdeen, obviously Scottish Cup this weekend against Dunfermline. Listen, Jimmy Thelin has got a bit of support, obviously, after the great start. Could he survive a cup upset?
Well, I'm very strong on the answer, even though maybe not agree. I think he could lose 10-0 and survive. I'm not joking.
Should he? But that's not can't. I mean, I think should he survive a cup defeat?
Well, if I was being,
I think he will. I think
honest,
you're right. I think he will survive because I think there's a long-term idea here. But the form has been so bad.
Impressed. Even some of the wins, and I've spoke numerous times about this. Even some of the early season stuff, you hear managers say it's all about performance, not result. Right? That I never ever felt that the Aberdeen's team at the start of the season was performance based. It was result based. We're getting results.
I kept saying they're coming up, they're heading for a fall.
Exactly. It feels that it felt. And then the Rangers night, I thought the box cover against Dundee United, really streetwise, won it late. Were very good against Rangers. That was a cracking game that night. But since then, it's been over. They've gone from storm to storm.
What happens if they get the cup?
Well, Dave Cormack's tied into this guy because
spent a lot of money.
He spent a lot of money. Has to make it work. I just. There's been games where Aberdeen play the ball long and the midfielders, the strikers are playing as attacking midfielders. I don't get the shape, I don't get the style. I think they're caught between playing defensive and attacking football. I would be worried sick. You've got to be worried sick. Right. But I feel that you're tied in. Doesn't matter if Dunfermline, it might take a result of this to set the wheels in motion, but I don't think there's any guarantee there will be. Maybe there should.
I think Aberdeen fans are on board with Jimmy Thelin now. They're hanging on board when the wheels are coming off the wagon and they're hanging on with their fingernails. But 1 goal in 8 games in the league. Yep. I mean, they're not scoring goals, and their defending is abysmal. They're losing goals left, right, and centre. This is a toxic, deadly combination for Aberdeen. And this cup tie,
Dunfermline are coming out.
Dunfermline get a new manager. They won the Fife Derby recently.
Yep. Sell out away.
It's a great game because obviously you've got the Jimmy Calderwood memories. Obviously, Jimmy Calderwood passing away recently. I think it's a fantastic way that this fixture's come about. So what I hope is that it's an entertaining game. I want 2 teams to play 2-4-4 formations. That's and pay tribute to the great man in the right possible way.
That'd be brilliant. That's so true because what a brilliant manager.
What a great guy.
I mean, brilliant.
A great manager, a great guy, and it's a fitting cup tie for him. So I'm pleased it's come out the heart. Listen, we're touched on Dunfermline there. Obviously, from down in the Championship is such a wild division. It seems to be a 3-horse kind of race emerging. Who is going to win the Championship? Who's your money on?
Falkirk.
Falkirk?
Yeah, I'm pretty strong.
Mate, back in the favourite.
No, I don't even feel they are at this point. I think since Livingston, obviously doing what Livingston, they've got that kind of, you can't keep us down. No one wants to say it, but the pitch element and all that. People talk about the 18-team league, but it's a byword for keeping Livingston out sometimes. It feels like that, doesn't it? You know what I mean? Just get all the teams that we like.
Asterisks, unless Livingston buys that. That's pure Livingston.
Invite all the teams we like.
Mark doing a fantastic job.
No, exactly. He's doing well. But I feel Scott Arfield is what a signing that is. That's unbelievable. And if you watch Falkirk at times this year, they do have setback. This isn't new. They're 2 years into this era of winning regularly, and no setback ever dents them too long. Got a massive game tomorrow against Partick Thistle. It's huge. So if you can win that, that's the spare game. Go above Ayr. Ayr obviously get their own excitement to enjoy in the cup. They'll obviously want that keep in. Scott Brown's done a brilliant job as well. He's been excellent. But I just feel this is Falkirk's time. They've been building towards this. They've got a proper squad, and Arfield feels the type of signing that in the hard days to come with these games, try to eke them out. Just an elite signing. It's brilliant.
I've got to admit, I've seen Falkirk in the flesh a few times over the last kind of year or so. I've seen the cup ties against Hearts and against Celtic
the
as well.
The way they press against Celtic is unbelievable.
I'm so impressed the way they play. I mean, John McGlynn, I think, is a terrific manager. A great guy, another great guy, great manager.
Tell us why he's not going to win the league then.
Because I'm going to tell you, Ayr are going to win the league. Because they've got firepower. I mean, they've got a lot of goals in the team. George Holt up front has been banging them in. I just think they've got the momentum, they've got the firepower, they've got something brewing down there in Ayrshire. I mean, I think the two of them, Ayr play Falkirk next week. Obviously, Ayr have got the cup tie, which if you're watching after this, it could have been a magical cup upset, or it could not. It could have been wrong. Who knows? But that's a cracker. That's a real big game. If Ayr United can come on top of that one, I mean, that's a huge step forward. I think Ayr, I mean, the Somerset Park's been a fortress. But it's a great race, isn't it? It's a thrilling competition between the three of them, I think, now. But we'll go back to another thrilling kind of the competition and debate that's been rumbling on for about 150 years, it seems like, and it's still going on. Yep. This week, Cristiano Ronaldo, the shy and retiring Cristiano Ronaldo, suggested that he's been the best player of all time. Is that right? As he said. So it goes back to the old debate, isn't it? Messi and Ronaldo, who's better?
Messi, because it's just nonsense. Like I feel you can't say Cristiano Ronaldo claiming he's the best player, but anyone who has to say it, doesn't it? That's always a kind of barometer. If you feel you have to project this to the world, just let people. Always remember, Joe Calzaghe said it as a boxing guy yourself. Remember the real quiet confidence when they tried to compare him and Andrew Ward. And now, let's be honest, Ronaldo's in a different stratosphere to Joe Calzaghe as much as they like him. There's an element that once you start saying it, you know deep down, come on, listen, Cristiano,
One more European Cups.
I know, but he has, and the one they try and give to Messi, I'm not sounding like one of these Ronaldo fanboys trying to big him up, swap him sides, but those 6-1, he wasn't really, that wasn't his. Messi's that was Ronaldinho's team. He was a bit part player, but Messi, just by the eye test, you watch football. There's never been a better player. He's unbelievable. The goals, the assists, just the magic. Like that's what football's about. So Ronaldo is like any good tale in the history of time. There's good and bad, isn't there? And he's a great guy in the movie, and he takes Messi all the way. But Messi probably needed a player at that level. But when the story of football's told, Messi will sit top of the mountain.
I think Ronaldo's got a case. I think he's got a case. I take your point. But in terms of an all-round player and impacting the game, I think Ronaldo has been. He's in that debate and arguably one of the all-time best.
But that Euros there when he's stinking up the joint purely.
Yeah, but he's nearly 40.
I know, but that's a great. When Messi, because of who he is,
I couldn't get my socks on at 40.
I know, I get it, but that almost goes against him because I don't think any.
So he's tarnishing his legacy, do you think?
I think so. I think that's a real thing.
The Saudi thing is sour thing, but you think him in his pomp, you think of Ronaldo in his pomp, and the sheer amount of goals he scores, and goals in big games and big moments.
He benefited for that second Madrid era with Zidane.
If he wasn't such an unlikable character, I think more people would say that he's the best of all time.
Okay.
And listen, they both get elements to their personalities that are good and bad, and it's a debate. It's not going to go away, is it? Really? In 20 years' time, we'll be sitting here with our walking sticks and arguing about who's the best one. We'll stick to the kind of the glamour side of football as well, because we're back to the Champions League. Celtic in action this week against Bayern Munich, the first leg of the playoff, this new playoff stage, last 24 type thing. Can Celtic get a result to take Germany the following week?
Maybe. The one I've said that.
You said that like a no.
No, it's a yes.
It's a yes?
It's a maybe yes. And why? How about I put this to you? Celtic get the better manager. Celtic get a better manager than Bayern. I would say so. I'm Vince Company's a good manager. He's on the rise, but Burnley at times, Ange would have winced at the risks he was taking in some of those games, like passing out for the back.
Yeah.
And they were tanked 3-0 away to Feyenoord. Playing a very
but the group stages.
I know, but
I dismissed the whole group stages.
But I would raise that to you for the reason that the style that Feyenoord played, Celtic can play that style. It's not defensive. It's Leipzig, not half counter punch, being able to take the ball, keep the ball, and hit quickly. And I think with Bayern Munich as well, right now there's that level of the last few years, and it's still 2 years ago removed. They nearly lost the title to Dortmund, got away with it in the last day. Yeah. Last year they lost the title to Leverkusen. There's not this belief system in this Bayern team that you might think. Harry Kane as well. Do you think Harry Kane's probably still deep down just choking to win a trophy? Of course he is. But what I mean is,
a penalty merchant.
But what I'm saying is exactly that's it. Exactly there you are. He's just of course he's in. Carter Vickers will know him for his Tottenham days as well. Probably scarily in some ways. But I think the issue with Celtic, this Celtic team is they could put one on Bayern in the sense that an early goal, it's not been complete dominance for them. And the manager's also trying to legitimise himself as a bona fide European manager. I think there's a lot of credit, but at the same time, they've got players on a different stratosphere to Celtic, and I think that's why you might maybe make the other argument.
No, listen, we've got to be realistic. I mean, this is a superpower who have got ideas of winning this competition. It's a tough draw for Celtic, and I think if they can get out of this first game with even a draw or a narrow win would be incredible to go to Germany, even in the hunt. I think it's a big ask, especially without Daizen Maeda is a huge loss for Celtic.
What do you do there? Do you go Jota, Ida?
You play the same way Aston Villa played against them at home, and you try and contain them and hit them in the break and hope for the best and go to a 1-0 win.
Okay.
Chances are slim, but we'll see. They might need a Hail Mary against Bayern Munich. See what I've done here, because obviously Super Bowl Sunday is coming up.
The Philadelphia Chiefs, no.
The Philadelphia
Eagles.
Eagles
and the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes.
That's the one.
We're ready.
All eyes on Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
The Chiefs.
Unbelievable.
Quarterback. People are now comparing him to Tom Brady. Tell us why he's going to surpass Tom Brady's. Is it 7 Super Bowls?
7 Super Bowls. I think he will, because he's taken all the best bits of Tom Brady's seasons where it was 50 touchdowns, all the glamour, but it's just a winning machine. So Andy Reid, the head coach of Kansas City Chiefs, he had all these heartbreak when he was the Eagles coach for years. He was one of the best coaches in the league, couldn't win it. Mahomes and him have found this way of playing. I was going to call it small ball. It's a phrase in basketball. This not as exciting brand of American football, but they just win. It's very compact, and they're able to just beat the teams. Even they've got good teams in their conference. The Buffalo Bills, brilliant team. They're always too much of them in the playoffs. So this would be 4 Super Bowls, the first ever three-peat against a brilliant Eagles team. Puts them on 4 ahead of.
Where was Brady at this time?
So Brady won 3 early. Just after his 30th birthday was the 3rd, when Mahomes would go a year and a half ahead on one more Super Bowl. Brady had to wait another decade. He had 2 kind of careers. He'd start.
He was winning Super Bowls in his 40s.
That's it. In the middle, he didn't. Yeah.
Talking about Ronaldo, he was winning.
Exactly.
He won 2 in his 40s, didn't he?
Exactly. There you are. So he had this second wave, and then he won one with the Buccaneers. Yeah. When Mahomes, it just feels. He might end up with 2 Chiefs teams, because Andy Reid's in his 60s. I think he'll retire as well. I think if he gets to 4 now, he'll also have a second wind at some point. It might not come as a big run again, but he will come again, and I think 6 or 7 Super Bowls.
So that suggests that you think the Chiefs are going to win this?
No, that's exact. I think we've started to assume they'll win, because that's the way that it has been. But the Eagles Super Bowl, they played each other 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Unbelievable game. Very, very. I think Eagles will get the best roster.
Are they stronger than they were 2 years ago?
Probably, but it's crazy about this. A team that's been at Super Bowl 2 the last 3 years. There's big questions on their head coach Nick Sirianni, where doesn't the belief, like we're talking maybe about Vincent Kompany, that the players maybe outweigh the manager and the head coach.
The Eagles, I thought we were going to win it, but apparently they got shot of their defensive coordinator, Johnny Gannon. It must have been in relation to myself.
Was Jonathan Gannon. He went to the Cardinals.
My uncle Johnny, they left them last year, so I think that's going to be a big blow to their hopes. I had backed them to go and do it, but now they've lost Uncle Johnny.
Oh, Uncle Johnny. I think he's about the same age.
Is he the same age? Or my cousin? Okay.
He's not old.
Cousin Johnny. But also we'll tune in. We'll see how it goes. It's
Kendrick Lamar. I look forward to that.
What's he a quarterback, or what's he?
No, he's a halftime entertainment.
Oh, right. Well, usually I get to halftime entertainment. That's when I watch a bit of that, and I get to my bed. But anyway, listen, we'll wrap up at that point. Thank you for listening or watching this week's edition of Game On. First for your debut, impressive debut.
Thanks.
Kind of like a Jota-esque hitting the ground running appearance for you, Graeme. We'll see how you got on. Whether or not we have to recall Gavin Berry at some point, we don't know. Or maybe replace me in the team. But either way, listen, thanks again for watching. You can catch us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you find your usual podcast needs. And if you want to, you can leave a comment or advice, fashion advice, health tips, and you like. But it's always gratefully received. But either way, listen, we'll be back next week for more of the same. Thanks.